Hey guys, Brian Delivery the Goods here. Just thought I'd return to you for this very late video tonight. This is going to premiere at 3 a.m. on March 27th, so I hope you guys will enjoy this premiere video for what you've been waiting for. The Memphis Mayfire Shapeshifter album review. And I'm going to let you know what I thought of the last two tracks that I listened to. So, you already know that they dropped so many fucking singles. And I gave up because I was like, oh my god. It's like they're single dropping bitches, basically. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way. I mean to say it as a, like, okay, Memphis Mayfire, we get the fucking picture. You want to drop so many singles, fine. But it doesn't mean we have to listen to all those tracks. We can always wait and be hyped for the record. But you just want to throw single after single out to us too much. And that's being a little over excessive and overdoing it a bit. So now I'm going to discuss what I listened to for this 30-minute record of Shapeshifter and let you know my thoughts on this very short record. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with Chaotic, which still a strong track. I still like the track. Maddie Mullins' screaming potential is pretty strong in it. Really catchy vocals too, and the drumming is pretty strong, so really enjoyed the first track still. It's still a favorite and a highlight for the record. 5 out of 5. Infection is another great track that I enjoyed. I wasn't sure if I was going to get used to this track, but it did, after all, grow on me a lot more as time progressed. I had to give it repeated listens. It wasn't, I believe, the fourth single for the record announcement. Well, they didn't announce the record till like when Shapeshifter became a single, the title track. So overall, yeah, Infection, 5 out of 5. Overdose featuring Blindside, pretty good song, but not one of my personal favorites. It's just got a jumpy chorus that you're like, okay, it's pretty fast paced. It's not bad in any way, but it's just one of those radio friendly tracks you can appreciate but not really love too much. It's just a pretty good song in its own way because of the drumming, because of Maddie Mullins' singing is pretty strong. The screaming vocals are solid moments in the track, but I don't know. This track kind of, the replay value doesn't stick with you too much with this track. So, and it's because it was the 7th single for the record, and that's a sad thing. So, other than that, 4.75 out of 5. Paralyzed, still a great track. I enjoyed this track still. It was the 2nd single for the record, and a strong single for sure. I really enjoyed how Maddie Mullins was singing this track and then screaming at certain points in the track. But overall, execution-wise, I'd give this a 5 out of 5 for sure. It's got really good moments in the track, and the drumming is pretty strong, and so is the mixing and production. 5 out of 5. Hell is Empty. I do think it's a good song, but I don't think it's one of the best tracks. It's kind of, I don't know, it hasn't been a track that I've come back to a lot. So this is a 4.5 out of 5 for me for this one. It's not one of the best tracks, but it's not one of the worst. So, yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me for this track. And then we get to the next track, Necessary Evil, which in my opinion is a pretty good song in its own way, but it does play it safe at times. The drumming in it is pretty strong, but it's just the chorus is a little on the nose, and you don't know if you're gonna like it or not, but it's still a strong track, so 4.75 out of 5. The Other Side, I think, is one of my personal all-time favorite tracks. 5 out of 5 for this one for sure. I really enjoyed how Matty Mullins was singing this track, regular singing, and just his moments of screaming potential was solid. This was probably their most melodic track, but I think this should have been an album closer. But still, good track. It's still a strong track in its own way and kept the record going for sure. 5 out of 5. Shapeshifter. Excuse my throat. It's just I'm still getting over this bad cough from the asthma attack that I had about almost 2 nights ago. But still, I just gotta take medicine in the morning for it. Excuse me, honey. But yeah, if you're wondering why I'm saying asthma attack, it's because basically I caught an asthma attack on the 14th and I'm recovering from it. But I'm recording this video on the 16th to get it out to you guys March 27th at 3 a.m. So I hope you will enjoy it. But other than that, Shapeshifter, strong track, pretty catchy. I like the breakdowns in it, and it was a pretty strong track in its own way. 5 out of 5. So now we get to the regular songs, verses, which is only 1 minute and 39 seconds of a track. You're in for not a bad interlude, but not one of the best interludes. So this is a 4.75 out of 5. It's still pretty strong of an interlude, but it goes into the next track, which is where things kind of are pretty strong in its own way. So yeah, Love is War is the closing track to the record, the entirety of the record. And for the 10th song on the record, I guess you could say it's a pretty strong track for how it sounds. I'd argue that this was a good regular song, which there's not really a lot of regular tracks, which we will dissect the rest of the record in just a moment. But other than that, Shapeshifter, Memphis Mayfire, but Love is War is a 5 out of 5. It's a strong track. I enjoyed it. It had some good cuts in the song and good moments with the pre-chorus and the chorus being very strong, so really dug this track. So overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, would I say I hate this Memphis Mayfire record? No, but I hate that they dropped so many fucking singles for this record. I hate that they spoiled us too much with this album. And we got like 20, I would say about 24, 25 minutes of the record that we have already gotten from Memphis Mayfire. I'm very disappointed in them because they dropped over 3/4 of their album. 80% of the record was already out. And I'm so disappointed that they did this. I'm very disheartened and disappointed and kind of furious too. It's like, you guys can do so much better by dropping less singles. Like, next time you want to make an album, extend the track listing at least to like 13 to 15 tracks. If you really want to make a good record, don't drop too many fucking singles like this. Because it's worse than fucking Remade in Misery, which I think is probably their strongest record. I think this is the weakest of a Memphis Mayfire record. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I'd say it's pretty good, but it's got its problems. This record has its problems, for sure. But if I were to give it a fair score, I'm feeling, I guess you could say, an 8.5 out of 10. It's a pretty good album. It really is. It's just the problem that I have with this record is it a record I'm going to come back to? Not as much, but from time to time maybe if I feel up to it. It's something I'll occasionally come back to, but it's something that the replay value is kind of not really there all the time. It's only when you want to listen to it. This is technically they've already dropped 8 out of 10 songs for this record. Yeah, 8 out of 10 songs, and I'm so disappointed that they did that before album release date. And I think they should have held back a lot more. They should have at least had Chaotic, Infection, Paralyzed, Infection, Hell is Empty, and at least one more song. Shapeshifter should have been the last single to drop. Should have been the last fucking single to drop. But it wasn't. And that's what really disappointed me. No, it was Chaotic, Paralyzed, Necessary Evil. Yeah, that's kind of doing it a little too much. So, technically, when you look at it, Memphis Mayfire spoiled 80% of their album. Probably 80-85% of it. And that's so disappointing. That's the most disappointing aspect when you look at this face value. And you're like, wow, how I'm not surprised. It's another band that decided to release too many singles before their record comes out. Overdoing it, I see. But other than that, 8.5 out of 10 for Memphis Mayfire Shapeshifter. It's a strong record, it's not as good as Remade in Misery was. That was probably their most best record. When you look at Remade in Misery in this album, I would choose Remade in Misery over this album. This album is strong, but it's not something that's going to be remembered too much. But as a pretty good album, it's something that'll be at the top tier of the best albums of 2025 list. But overall, Memphis Mayfire still did a good job, but the only downside is when you drop so many singles, that's where the problem lies. So, with that being said, I thought I'd make this video by saying thank you so much for watching the Memphis Mayfire Shapeshifter album review. It's an album review I wanted to premiere 11 days early. Not 11 days early, but it's an album review that is being premiered 11 days later from when I recorded this, which was March 16th. So, until then, guys, I thought I'd get this out to you, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this review. It's a pretty strong record, but the problem lies with so many singles. The songs are pretty strong in their own way, but there are just a couple songs that are hit or miss. So overall, yeah, 8.5 out of 10 for Memphis Mayfire Shapeshifter. Pretty good record. Check it out. See what you think of it for yourself. It's not something you're going to be mind blown about, but it's something you're going to be like, okay, some pretty good tracks. And tracks we've already heard. So, yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching this album review for this premiere video tonight. You guys have a good night.